Nice looking place here.
I'm looking for a Mrs. Ratchet. Can you help me?
His truncheon talks for him. You got business here? Talk to me.
Yes, sir. Oh, okay, I thought there was going to be some kind of conversation there, but never mind. Why is dropping the bread an option here?
That'll cost you tuppence, and as you're the curious type, the floor ain't been recently swept.
Okay, now we have some dirty bread and an apple.
Try that again and you'll lose a finger, maybe two.
I mean, I can't really blame the guy. We've just wandered into the shop from nowhere and we're just messing around with all of his stuff.
An astonishing profusion of odours, Watson. Can you distinguish them?
Odours? Your proboscis or your vocabulary have failed you, Holmes. Perfume has an odour. Your laboratory sometimes creates odours. This rank stench equals that of an abattoir.
Watch my back, Watson. Will you do that?
The guard looks to be an unpredictable character. Do you sense something violent is about to transpire?
Intuition, Doctor, is for amateurs. He's so aggressively unhelpful. I wonder if he has a personal interest.
This wouldn't be the first time your wandering has put us at risk. Perhaps we should leave, discretion being the better part of valour.
It might have been a better part of success here. Being forthright got us nowhere. Discretion, dissimulation even, could hardly have been less productive, but I'm reluctant to go back west without something to show for our trouble.
Let's just make sure we don't have broken bones to show.
I'm looking for a woman named Agnes Ratchet. Do you know her?
This is a grocery, mate. Push off if you're not buying.
We just did buy some things. We bought an apple and some dirty bread.
Mrs. Ratchet lives hereabouts. I'm told you might know where, do you?
What's your business with her?
I assure you I mean her no harm.
So coppers always say. Next thing you know, they're sending home the boat in a cosy cell at Pintonville.
I'm not with the police. Mrs. Ratchet works at my brother's office.
Filched a few bob from the tea trolley, did she? Capital crime. Leave off.
This is a confidential inquiry. I'm not an official agent. Won't you tell me what you know?
I know nothing except that thems that grass get mowed down and thems that snoop, strangers I know, fare no better.
What have the police done to deserve your animosity?
I think being poor's a crime. Proof you're guilty of something.
They have a more discriminating sense of justice, surely.
You wasn't here when they tramped over this patch looking for the Ripper. Didn't give a care who they stepped on, and for what? Big show. Came to naught. Everybody knows one of the quality done them girls.
As I said, I'm not with the police.
You might as well be. You're not from here, not one of us. Now off with you. You're not worth a charge of GBH. Best quit the neighbourhood.
How did you come by these army rations?
You writing a book?
Just curious.
Serious affliction down here. You heard about the cat what suffered from it?
It can't have been long since you pushed your cart through the streets. You appear to be in fine condition.
This here's a grocery, mate. Push off if you're not buying.
I'd lay odds the proprietor knows her, Watson. Perhaps he shops here.
Poor woman. As if living in the neighbourhood weren't a surfeit of misfortune. But even if you're right, I don't see how it helps.
Too true, Doctor. If he doesn't want to tell us what he knows, we can't apply thumbscrews.
Well, we could try. But we have other methods.
Might you occupy the proprietor's attention? I want to look inside that copybook.
I can't think of anything to turn his head that won't place our lives at risk. He's only interested in commercial transactions.
Good idea, Watson. At my signal, distract the guard.
I shouldn't like to get too close to him. He might get ideas.
That would be novel for him. Dangerous, even. I'd like some marmalade from the top shelf.
Cash customers is welcome. Cost you £2 bob.
I want a jar, not your whole stock.
Wherever you bought that joke, demand a refund.
Humour is free.
Not when it's at my expense. All sales is final.
Nice bit of weather we're having this time of year, don't you think?
I don't think that is interested, Watson. I'm sure that was worth the £2 bob.
Round here we treat trespassers worse than rats.
Why is that?
Rats go where they're not wanted by nature. Humans by choice. They both end up the same way. But humans get punished for choosing to do wrong.
Why, what happens to the rats? They get fed some cheese and then let go?
Our resourceful chameleon could penetrate this alien maze with ease.
Wiggins is always willing to work, and he could hardly be less successful than we have been.
Let's see if Wiggins has returned. Oh, he has. I was not expecting this.
I want you to find a Mrs. Ratchet. Older party, lives off Bishopsgate, near the Spitalfields markets.
At your service, Mr. Holmes. You been out east?
For all the good it did me, I'm suspected and despised there.
Can I take the Metropolitan?
Take the inner circle to Liverpool Street, and pay particular attention to a grocery on Frying Pan Lane.
Now, I'm slightly confused, as I have been doing a run of this game, and this didn't actually trigger. And I'm not exactly too sure what I've done differently that has made it trigger. As far as I know, I've done everything exactly the same. Now, there should be a trigger with Virgil, which hasn't actually happened. And that enables me to open up another lead. But I have tried a separate save file, and things have played out the same way, even though I have done things slightly different. But hopefully it will trigger soon, as we won't be able to go to a certain location, and our locations already open up to us that we can't really do much until we get this trigger. But anyway,
Are you settling in, Virgil? Mrs. Hudson give you a nice cup of tea?
The tea was too hot. I burned my tongue. But the biscuits were very nice. Had chocolate on them. I like chocolate.
Okay, well, we're going to return here as we need this lead from Wiggins.
Wiggins, what news of Mrs. Ratchet? Did Frying Pan Lane pay off?
You've got the nose, Mr. Holmes. Greengrocer's her son. She lives over the shop with her old man. He drinks.
I'm not surprised. I should return straight away.
No offence, Gov, but in Spitalfields, you're as welcome as rats in the pram. It's odd times there. Folks don't take to having the lot picked over by strangers. They get shirty, and they get mean.
Thank you, Wiggins. A solo trip incognito is called for. I've got the means upstairs.
We do indeed.
Young Ratchet's a sharpie, but he won't penetrate this disguise.
Oh, hello. Well, apparently Holmes is a master of disguise. This does not look too masterly, but I'm sure it will work.
How did you come by these army rations?
You heard about the cat what suffered from curiosity.
Beg your pardon, comrade. Hello, comrade. Might I pop up to see your mum?
Your business?
She's holding some pamphlets for me. Got to circulate the word.
All right. Don't mess about.
I'm guessing that it's not his mum that we're seeing. Obviously, it's Mrs. Ratchet's. Well, is that his mum?
Don't dally, you ain't moving in. And don't roil my pie.
Well, hello. I think that is everything. Nope, there's the bust here as well. Okay, so who do we speak to first? Let's speak to Agnes.
My brother has been incapacitated, Mrs. Ratchet. You may speak to me as you would to him.
The real Mr. Holmes wouldn't sneak up here like a rat catcher. A closed door's no obstacle to a person like you, is it?
I wish to speak about the document that went missing from the ministry.
I stole nothing. I'll say nothing more about that formula. Are you trying to trick me into breaking my oath?
That's right, dearie. Answer no questions, tell no lies, eh? This bloke stand me to a dram, huh?
Be silent, Aloysius. I know my rights and my duty. I've signed the Official Secrets Act. You've no authority, whatever your name is. You may leave.
That's right, mister. You can go rotate.
Lovely. Oh. Oh, we can't do anything with the cheese. Wait a minute. Okay. Let's just carry on. And we need to show this lady the snuff box just here.
That certainly belongs to Mr. Holmes. He's never without it.
I assure you, Mrs. Ratchet, I represent him.
So you say. Should I believe you?
Bring in the seas, bring in the seas. We'll all be the dust and breathe the sea. Hey, 15 men on a dead man's chest, yeah, and a bottle of rum sound bloody good.
Fair enough.
When did you last clean the room from which the formula disappeared?
If the real Mr. Holmes sent you, you'd know. May as well get on your bike. You'll get nothing more from me. I don't talk to strangers about my work.
Sir Avery thought his name might secure your cooperation.
He's a gentleman, not a lying sneak about like some. You've not come from Sir Avery or Mr. Holmes. Are you a policeman or just a lunatic?
Why not both?
Perhaps you do come from Mr. Holmes. He's always been fair with me. For the moment, let's say you do.
Might you send out Mr. Ratchet so we can talk?
Send him where? The street? He's a dipsomaniac.
I can barely hear myself, let alone you.
Gin and dining with Duke Humphrey have ruined his health. In this mood, only stimulants settle him.
I was considering a sharp rap on the head with a poker.
Bring in the seas, bring in this, I love this song, I love this song. And singing in their salvation bed on the corner. 15 men on the dead man's chest, yeah.
Lovely. Hold on. Okay. There should be a coffee pot somewhere on here, and I am missing it completely.
Do you have anything useful to add, Mr. Ratchet?
I endorse whatever she says, said salt of the earth. Honest as the day is long, true pal.
Okay. Okay, there it is. This is quite embarrassing. Now you see, usually especially with this game, I've been playing in advance and then recording afterwards, but this has actually happened completely unexpectedly. So this part of the game is absolutely brand new to me.
In lieu of conversation, may I look around your premises?
On what grounds?
You surely realize that you are a suspect in the formula's disappearance.
I had the opportunity, and my political convictions supply the motive. That's simple-minded and insulting.
You wouldn't commit a crime to support your beliefs?
Rob my employer and traffic in government secrets? Never. I'm no man's dupe, and no country's either. Search if you must. I'm sure you'd threaten my job or incarceration if I denied you. Don't skulk about.
Is there no other way to calm Mr. Ratchet?
Typical of your lot. Sweep the unfortunate under the rug, pretend they don't exist.
I have important questions to put to you. There are some curious items here.
Bring in the seas, Bring in this, I love this song, I love this song. And singing in the Salvation bed on the corner. 15 men on the Desmond chest, yeah.
Okay, we get it. We get it.
Do you have some coffee or strong tea, madam?
Now you want refreshments? I keep no luxuries here, Mr. Holmes. The proletariat has few enough of the necessities.
Your pa's in a rare state, comrade. Not violent, is he?
Like a lamb, except when he's drinking, which is mostly.
He needs sobering. Victuals and a hot drink would help.
You a physic in your spare time?
I saw some Hare's Head's coffee on the shelves. If you have the real thing, I'd like a £1/4. Your pa needs the caffeine.
None of my affair. That'll cost you £half-crown.
Oh.
Don't dally, you ain't moving in, and don't roil my pa.
It's quite confusing sometimes, as sometimes the exits are just automatic in leaving the actual location, and sometimes the default is automatically set to luck for some reason. I mean, why would you want to look at the exits? I mean, I suppose you could look at it, but when you click on it as default, surely it should just mean leave. Okay, before... Oh, I thought that something was going to happen. I think before we make some coffee, we need to speak to Agnes again. No. Okay. I've done that already. I believe while this is warming up, we can look at a couple of more objects in here. Oh. I believe that we have something in our inventory which might relate to this. And thankfully she is just going to let us take this. Okay. Wait, surely he's going to burn his face off with this.
You were difficult to find, Mrs. Ratchet. Is that by design?
I'm at Speaker's Corner every Sunday, sir. You might drag yourself out from whatever bourgeois trough you wallow in and receive the truth from Mr. Ingalls.
Would you share any suspicions you harbour concerning the disappearance of the formula?
I'll cast no aspersions.
Those responsible for the theft tried to kill my brother. I will not rest until I find and punish those who are responsible.
In your desire for revenge, would you do violence to the innocent?
The entirely innocent are as rare as a painless amputation, Mrs. Ratchet. Remember that.
They're as common as the entirely guilty, Mr. Holmes. You might remember that.
That painting is by Thomas Pratt, isn't it?
What makes you say so?
I know Pratt's style. I know his colours. How did you come by it?
He gave it to me. There's nothing wrong with that.
Perhaps. What is your relation to him?
Very kind man, our Mr. Pratt. Always very kind.
Do you have any idea who would want to harm my brother?
I can't imagine. I'm sorry for his pain and for your grief.
Thank you. This wax is a part of the seal from the stolen formula. How did you come by it?
I picked it up to save the ministry carpet. I'll add it to my tallow for candles.
Lose that story, Mrs. Ratchet. It won't wash. You have placed yourself at grave risk, and not only from the authorities.
What you mean?
I mean that Pratt was murdered for his part in the theft. I mean that as the formula has likely been in this room, you may be in danger. Do not trifle with me. What have you done with it?
I found it behind the clerk's desk and returned it to the ministry reading room. It's there now.
Stop, Mrs. Ratchet. A lie to protect Pratt will serve neither of you now. Tell me what you know of Pratt, Mrs. Ratchet.
He was orphaned young and raised by relations. He seemed an unhappy man, friendless, uncomfortable in his work, and his bohemian habits didn't help. Tired all the time. But from his first day at the ministry, he was kind to me. Always kind.
And you repaid the kindness, I think. You returned the formula for him.
Yes. After the document was discovered missing, he came back here, sick from worry. Terrible agitated he was. Said it got into his briefcase by accident.
You believed him, then?
Others would have been quick to condemn him, because he's a bit different. But he's been very kind to us. Little remembrances and such. He begged me to return it, so I did. Makes no difference now, I suppose. But he promised he would tell Mr. Holmes eventually. And I told Mr. Pratt that I would have to if he didn't.
I believe you, Mrs. Ratchet. I only wish you had confided in me earlier. Do you have any idea how Pratt spent his leisure time? With whom he spent it?
No. He was a solitary lad. We talked frequently. He never mentioned friends.
Are you familiar with a place called the Weary Punt?
I should hope not.
I recognize the greengrocer in the photograph. Is the other boy his brother?
Yes, that's David. He's currently living at government expense. He and Sydney are very like, as brothers often are.
What is your opinion of Eldridge Whitney?
Pompous bore. Wants to impress the other boys. Fails miserably. Weak pedigree, it seems. Insults me. Perhaps it makes him feel better about himself. Pathetic sod. Another victim of the class system.
How did you return the formula to the ministry reading room?
I've worked here 20 years, Mr. Holmes. I'm not entirely stupid. I resealed it and left it amidst the rubble on the clerk's desk.
You didn't think it strange, let alone sinister, that the seal was broken?
The seal must be broken to see what's inside. That's the point, isn't it?
Not really. Why didn't you return it to its filing box?
I couldn't find it. Mr. Pratt said it was number 5. I thought the mess on the desk would suit, and I was certain that Mr. Whitney would never notice until long after I'd gone home. He's not the most attentive clerk.
Was there anything peculiar about the document? Anything unexpected?
Now that you mention it, there was an odd brown stain in one corner. I don't know how it came to be there.
As you were friends, I'm sorry to inform you that Thomas Pratt has been found brutally murdered.
How awful. I'd wondered where he'd gone. He was kind to me, considerate. Always asked after my unlucky boy. I'll miss him.
Would it shock you to learn that Thomas Pratt was involved in the theft of the formula?
If it's true, yes. I never took him for a thief. But if you found your culprit, why are you questioning me?
I don't know why he stole it, or for whom, or who his accomplices were. I wonder if you were one of them, Mrs. Ratchet.
Okay, so we've got a lot of information from Mrs. Ratchet. Looking back, I think the trigger that I missed was that I didn't actually try to enter this door as Holmes. But in this recording I did. I believe that's what triggered Wiggins' return. Anyway, we are done here.